Hey everybody, welcome to Feel the News Live. Feel the News Live plus friends, which means that I have brought a couple of friends with me today to help me talk about the news. I'm gonna hold up for like a couple more minutes and wait for more people to come. Um, All right, I think we can go ahead and get started. Yeah, so Field and News and Friends is a short 1 hour slash 45 minutes comedy news show where I'll be talking about the news with some good friends of mine. The way it works is that I'll talk about news that made me angry, sad, and glad. And then we're just going to get other people's feelings because I feel like I talk about my feelings a lot and I think it's good to talk about other people's feelings. Okay, cool. So let's hop right into it. The first piece of news that I would like to talk about is news that made me very sad this week. So if you haven't heard, taxi drivers in New York City are on a hunger strike because they've been saddled with hundreds of thousands in debt. Okay, let's back up. That's not the news I wanted to talk about first. Let's talk about the news that I wanted to talk about first, not news that made me sad. Let's start off with news that made me angry. Let's get into it. Okay, so news that made me angry. 14 people have died this year at Rikers prison as a result of what government officials and journalists are calling inhumane living conditions. This news makes me angry for multiple reasons. I will list a few, but there are so many reasons why I'm pissed off about this news. First, calling a prison inhumane is redundant as calling an ocean watery. The only way prisons can ever be humane is if they are shut down and turned into community gardens where we can grow weed on. Second, the amount of power that prison guards have over imprisoned people is absolutely disgusting. One of the reasons why why the issue in Rikers has gotten so bad is because prison guards have been taking a lot of time off, which means there aren't staff there to make sure imprisoned people have basic needs. They're not even having people there to make sure that people meet their court trials on time, which has led to suicide. So that's really terrifying. Now, I'm all for workers' rights. Y'all know me. If you don't know me, I'm a huge workers' rights person, and I think that workers should have the break that they need. And my honestly biggest advice for workers is always to make sure that you do as little work as possible. That's how I feel about workers. But I don't think prison guards are actually workers. I don't treat them as workers. I think prison guards are evil class traders who should not take vacations. I'm sorry, that's the line that I draw. Lastly, the reason why the situation in Rikers makes me so mad is that despite the fact that most of the people in Rikers haven't been found guilty of a crime. Yeah, these are people who are just in there. They haven't been found guilty of a crime, which honestly shouldn't matter because no one should be in prison. But my point is that these people, even based on our justice system, which is not really just, haven't been really found guilty of a crime or being held in there. And Mayor de Blasio is refusing to let these people go, even though that would reduce a lot of the overcrowding, which has led to people being forced to poop in bags. Yeah. So Mayor de Blasio obviously doesn't care about the imprisoned people in Rikers. And he's probably just like, what's wrong with poop bags? Amazon workers use them, which is honestly very fucked up. So those are my feelings about the situation in Rikers. I think it's messed up. I think all prisons should be shut down, honestly, not just Rikers, but currently the situation in Rikers is out of control. And it's just really upsetting. So I want to bring up somebody to help me, talk about my feelings about the situation in Rikers currently. Please welcome to the show a very good friend of mine who's also a writer, an educator, and an anti-rape activist, and honestly just like general badass. Please welcome to the show, Wagatwe. Thank you so much for joining us, Wagatwe.
Hi, thanks for having me again. Happy to be here.
I
And
love
angry.
having you on. Oh, yeah, we can be angry together. All right, so Wagatwe, something that I like to do, and you know this already, before I let the guests tell us their feelings about the news, is that I like the audience to know what your politics are, so they know whether they should honestly trust you or not. You know what I mean?
Very fair.
So just so that we can figure out what your political viewpoints are, I would like for you to rank in order the following people in what way you'd like them to be president and on who you'd prefer to have as president. One being the person you prefer the most, and obviously the last person being the person who you prefer the least. So these are the people who I want you to rank in terms of who you think should be president of the United States of America. Now, so a few options. Your middle school bully.
Which one? No, I'm kidding.
You can rank them. You can rank your middle school bullies if you want. Okay. Your weed person. If you don't have a weed person, pick a similar substitute. Your favorite cousin or Trump. You have to rank those from 1 to 4 based on who you think you prefer to have president.
I feel like this is hard because I'm like, my first thought was like the United States shouldn't exist.
Yes, that is the correct answer. That is the right answer. That is the right answer to any question is the United States shouldn't exist. But I'm not going to let you out of this. You're going to have to rank these. So yeah, we got middle school bully for the audience. Wakata has one order of who she prefers to be president. Middle school bully, her weed person or a substitute, her favorite cousin, or Trump.
Okay, so I would probably put my favorite cousin number 1 because, you know, I feel like I could influence them.
So you want to be you want to be an autocrat in the background. Gotcha.
I mean, I feel like I could help with us, like, you know, getting some treaties honored again and stuff like that. I'll be like, psst, you know, like, land back. Stuff like that.
Love that. So you're gonna use it to get land back. Okay.
Yeah, like stuff like that. Like dissolve the United States. Okay. Anyway, probably my weed person number 2.
Okay.
Because how could someone be terrible if they bring so much joy to my life? Number 3, middle school bully for sure. Because they can't be worse than Trump. They just can't.
Yeah. Well, what's the worst thing that your middle school bully ever did to you?
See, I'm trying to even like the thing is, I feel like I blocked out so much because they're so irrelevant. The only thing I can remember is that, but the thing is, I didn't fall for it, so it wasn't even that bad. But the kids like created some plan to try to have the like most popular kid pretend he have a crush on me to like set me. Yeah, I did not fall for it. I was so proud of myself. Isn't that messed up?
That is so mean, and like every single movie plot. See, this is the thing that I don't like about movies. They teach kids how to be evil because it's like no kid ever thought about that until they saw it in a movie, and they're like, "Let's do it."
Yeah, and it was also like a racial component because it was like mostly white kids and I'm like the black girl. Like I didn't think about it in the moment, but looking back, I'm like, oh, that's also really messed up.
Yeah, they were racist and mean, like which
not a good combo.
Are mean. Again, redundant, right? So
true.
Yeah. Okay, well, I do like the ranking that you had. I like using your cousin to give Indigenous people their land back. Okay.
Yeah.
Second question to help people know what your politics are. Which of the following is the best scenario for a group project for you? Everyone works collaboratively. So this is a group project whether in middle school, high school, college. Okay. Everyone works collaboratively. No one but you does the work, which is great because you don't trust those idiots with your grades. Third one is you let one person do everything because they want to. And then the last one is none of the above. All group projects suck and they should never happen.
Okay, so first I was like, okay, I would say number 1. I was tempted for number 4, but I realized it's not that group projects suck. It's with the right people under the right circumstances, right? So I like working collaboratively, actually, because it gives you different points of view, less work on me. Like, I don't want to do all the work. I'm too lazy now. Maybe if I was younger, I'd be like, yeah, I'll do all it. No, please, you suck at it? That's fine. I'll have a lower grade. I don't care. Grades don't matter.
Perfect. So what I'm hearing from you is abolish schools. What I'm hearing from you is abolish the United States of America. What I'm hearing from you is land back. So what I'm hearing from you is that your politics should be trusted. Okay, so now we can go on to your feelings because I feel like your feelings are coming from the right place. Okay, so let's talk about this whole prison situation that's happening in Rikers. I guess my first question for you is like, how do you feel about prisons in general? And what do you think is more redundant, inhumane prisons or watery ocean? You can answer in the order that you like.
Definitely inhumane prisons. When I heard that, I was like, right? Because it's like, this is inherently bad. Like, what else do you expect? So yeah, I definitely feel like abolition now. What the fuck? It just makes me think about how criminalization is a tool, right? Because like you pointed out, it doesn't matter whether they're innocent or not, right? Like this is bad no matter what. And I kind of hate how people have been pushing it as like a way to like without adding that extra thing to push to be like, oh, this is why it's bad. It's like, no, this is what criminalization is about, right? It's about justifying inhumane treatment. It is really disgusting. And I feel like we have this, like our society creates this like built-in tolerance of violence, exploitation, right? Because people, it's kind of weird watching people with COVID being like, oh my God, the pandemic, it's so weird. Like it became so normalized, all the death. I'm like, have you not been paying attention to all the deaths and like the carceral system due to immigration? Like, you know, it's just like, this is what America is and what America does.
Yeah, I mean, as I think I'm glad that you brought that point out. It's like we've been so desensitized to violence because it's like that's what the state wants us to be, is desensitized to violence. Because the fact that like they're just like people who are homeless, like unhoused in New York, just like suffering and nobody does anything about it is like, oh my God, like we have like been so desensitized. We're just like a bunch of monsters and like not intentionally, but we kind of are.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like we rarely sit down to really think about that. Like when you mentioned unhoused people, like how much free space is there? There's enough food, there's enough housing, there's enough warmth for all of this. And we're just supposed, and then what did we do? What do politicians do? Let's give more money to cops to harass them. Like,
yeah. And like, it doesn't even make any sense because the whole situation in Rikers is like, obviously all these people who are there because cash bail, right? And also just like the idea of bail, which inherently is just like really, really fucked up. But yeah, we have been desensitized to violence. And the other part about that is that the things that they criminalize don't even make sense. You're criminalizing people using the train. Like if they can't afford to, how do you want them to get to work? Do you want them, like, what do you?
Right? $3 is too expensive for you. So let me fine you and put you through this thing.
$100.
Like,
okay, so you can't afford $3. But you're going to find $100. It's literally a trap. This whole system is a trap.
It's so illogical, right? It's just so illogical on its head. Like, it's just really frustrating, right? So it just, and then also you bringing up the whole like class traders, like how the workers there. And that's such a good point because I think about how they're just so abusive. Like we know that there's a lot of sexual violence, just a lot of like abuse of power no matter what, right? And mistreatment that we don't talk about. And it makes me think about like those annoying like trans panics where they're like, oh, they're putting blah, blah, blah in the jails with women. I'm like, have you heard of the guards?
I'm just like, about people being abused, get rid of the guards. And also while you're at it, the cops. When people are always like, oh, like the fear mongering, I'm like, but they're cops walking around. They're literal abusers walking around. It's like if you were to watch like Star Wars, it's like they're the stormtroopers. Like, do you trust the stormtrooper with your child? Like, I don't.
Right.
I feel
and they're all friends.
They hang out. Yeah, like
scary.
Yeah, brunch of the most evil people on the planet, just like chilling, coming up with ideas on how to torture all of us. It's really messed up.
It's maddening.
it's very maddening. So one thing that I have to ask. So de Blasio has not been helpful at all in terms of like this whole Rikers situation. Obviously, as we expect. I have a question for you. Do you think de Blasio's children like him? There's
no way. I can't imagine anyone likes him.
I just don't think, I mean, like, because I feel like they're Gen Z and like, I feel like Gen Zers, I don't want to put a blanket, but a lot of them are more woke than like what we were, which is like, I'm a millennial. And I'm like, they're probably just like, ooh, daddy ain't right. Like, I don't know, like, would you be more embarrassed of your dad being de Blasio or being Trump?
I think de Blasio. Because I feel like, I'll be thinking about the proximity, because like Trump is just him, right? But there was something about de Blasio's trajectory, because I remember the excitement when he was elected and all this stuff, right? He's just a punk.
He really is a punk. De Blasio the punk. We should get that, try to get that to be a thing. Let's try to make de Blasio the punk happen.
All right, make it a hashtag.
Hashtag de Blasio is a punk. He's the worst. March. He's like literally involved in making everybody's life bad. We're going to be talking about him a little bit more later. But I have a final question for you. If you have to choose between, actually, no, I have two more questions for you. If you had to choose between being friends with a prison guard or a police officer, which would you pick and why? You had to pick. You had to.
This is so offensive.
You had to pick
But
one.
because they're almost like, it's basically the same.
It is. It is like saying, would you rather be friends with like Satan or Satan's sister? But like, yeah, no.
Oh God, I would think maybe just a police officer, because I feel like if they are not total pieces of shit and are actually my friend, they would have more resources to like help. I'm always like thinking like, how can I use you for good?
What, help with people who make you mad? You want to have a bouncer to walk
No.
around? No,
No, I wasn't thinking on that level.
Wait, how would they help you?
For good, I don't know. They get like lots of money and resource. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. For the good, I'm just like, you hang out with people. I don't know. I hate this question.
Well, if I had to pick one, I'll tell you who and I'll tell you why.
Okay, please tell me.
I would 1000% pick a police officer because they could teach me how to play Candy Crush, because that's all they do all day. If you see them hanging out like by the train station, and they're literally everywhere, they're always on their phones, and I'm pretty sure they're all Candy Crush champions. That is why I would pick to have a friend who's a cop over.
Okay. That's one useful thing that they could do then. There you go.
Okay, but I want to go back to this. So so you feel like you would pick cops because they have more resources, because they do get a lot of money. I guess you could get one of those really cool like prison and one of those robotic dogs and try to make it your friend.
I don't even want that to be my friend. I'm like, now your idea of like, have it go after people I don't like. Like when I hear the dog, I'm like, no. Let me like see where my ex is. Like let me find my middle school bully.
Have a cop show up. Oh my God. The most atrocious thing that ever happened to me with like cops when I was growing up is that this kid that I knew who was Black was dating this girl who was white. And the dad did not approve of the relationship. So his dad showed up to this Black kid's house in full uniform to pretty much threaten his family that if he did not stop seeing his daughter, he was like gonna do something. I mean, he didn't say it, but
right, but he said it.
Can you imagine using your powers as a cop to like say, please don't date my daughter? Like,
right. So pressed, like they're 12, chill. Like they're not gonna get married. You're making it into a big thing. Yeah, that's the thing about cops.
It's like that's how they're messed up. Like the types of people who are cops are the types of people who would wear a police uniform to go threaten people. They probably also use it to like get discounts. I need to Starbucks. I'm gonna like go get my outfit real quick. It's my discount. We should stop giving police discounts. That's another thing that I want to get.
Yeah, they get paid so well.
Mm-hmm. We should charge them more.
Yes. Oh my God, a surcharge.
Mm-hmm. Like like 20% surcharge for being a class trader.
Yes. If I ever own a coffee shop, I'm gonna do that.
That's such a good idea. Okay, cool. Let's move on to, thank you so much for joining us, Wagato. We'll be right back talking about news that made me glad. But for right now, let's move on to our next piece of news. Okay, so our next piece of news is news that made me sad. News that made me sad this week is that taxi drivers in New York City are on a hunger strike because they've been saddled with hundreds of thousands in debt from loans they took out to buy taxi medallions. And the city isn't helping them, which honestly isn't surprising because the only helpful thing the city of New York does for its non-wealthy residents is nothing. Instead of helping, the city is offering this non-solution that would only offer up to like $20,000 in debt relief when the average debt is hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it really is not going to help at all. Because the city never does anything to help people, which comes to my next point, which I'm pretty sure the city's plan to fight global warming flooding is to pay toddlers to empty flooded homes with their toy buckets. That's a side point. Nonetheless, this news makes me very sad because New York City caused this problem to begin with by inflating the price of taxi medallions so as to make up for a budget windfall, proving that whenever the government doesn't have money, the first step is to treat vulnerable people like a piñata filled with cash. So yeah, the city made about $855 million from inflating the price of medallions, and now taxi drivers who are mostly immigrants are dealing with the consequences. It's not surprising, and it's not going to be surprising to you when I tell you this, is that the ploy to raise revenue by inflating the price of taxi medallions was launched under Bloomberg. Because billionaires, we all know, are the best scammers. Anyway, yeah, that news makes me really sad. And I want to bring up another friend of mine who is a card holding anarchist, I've heard, to help me talk about this piece of news. Please welcome to Feel
Hi.
the News and Friends, my friend Black. Black, how are you doing today?
I survive, we have been survive. I mean, we from Brazil that we have been survive for our own the situation. But I hear about your comments about police, and I really sympathize with you guys, no? And then this also is related to the tax people. I mean, it's like my favorite action now is like screaming in face of police,
I love that. Well, okay, hold on, Black. Before we
something
go
that
into
I
your
really like to do nowadays.
okay,
Screaming
okay,
in face of police.
yes, you and I met through screaming at police officers. But before we get into your politics, I want to like ask you the same questions that I asked Wagatwe. So I want you to rank in order the following people in the order you'd prefer them to be president. Um, so
I don't like
how would
any
you rank these people?
president. I don't like, don't lose your time with me. I don't vote any president. I don't like any president. I'm
I
against
love that. Yeah.
presidents. Huh?
I'm also against presidents, but if you had to pick, you had to. You just
No,
had to.
I don't have never, ever. No.
Okay, well, I love that you're like, we're not doing it. Okay, that's fine. We're gonna move on to the next question then. Which of the following is a what did you say?
I mean, strike.
Yeah, don't answer questions that you don't want to answer. Okay, so the next question is which of the following is the best scenario for a group project for you? And this is to determine just like your feelings about like how people should work together. So what do you think, what is the best scenario for a group project for you? Is it everyone works collaboratively? Is it no one but you does the work, which is great because you don't want to trust those idiots with your grade? Is it you let one person do everything because they want to? Or is it none of the above, all group projects suck and they should never happen?
Yeah, I think in this situation never happened, but I like to work in collaborative way where everybody's like, have equal participation, equal voice, equal, interaction. I like work this way.
Okay,
But
perfect. So I feel like we can trust you because you hate the police, which I also hate, and you want to work collaboratively. So your politics can be trusted. So let's get into the news. How do you think people should feel about the whole situation with taxi drivers currently being on hunger strike because the city is not helping them with their debt?
yeah, I mean, first, I mean, I'm like, I don't like people suffer. I mean, I think is damaged, they hunger. That's one feeling that I don't think is a good strategy, for example. However, I think if they, I don't know, create a kind of parallel situation, autonomous, maybe cooperative tax, and, start to work in the way they want, start to live the way they want, and not always confront. Confront is important, but not just, try to resist the oppression. You know what I mean? I think that is the point. And then when you hunger, when you sacrifice yourself, you get more fragile. I think it's opposite. You need to be strong to fight, It's like, but I understand and I respect them also because I lose my feelings. I don't have feelings anymore,
You don't have feelings anymore? The world has made you feelingless? That's so sad.
Anesthesia. This is really sad. I'm like anesthesia, After come from Brazil, from what the fascism is doing with the indigenous territory and killing indigenous women and rape indigenous kids, and kill kids. I mean, you become insensible. Whatever is less, than that, And then I'm sad with the tax people, but. In face of Brazilian situation, it's like, and these people is fight for us because they are in the forest, defend our air that we breathe, that you can breathe a little bit. And these people is in the front line by themselves without nobody with them, just artists in some way and anarchists. I mean, but I agree with you. It's like, stop. It's like we need to go. And I think we all need to get together and, put down this government,
Well, I mean, specifically with the city, I think we need to
Also
definitely
because we
push
are in New
more
York. You know?
to get them to forgive the debts. I do have a question. I said this earlier that whenever things get bad, the city government always uses working people as pinatas filled with cash. And if you know what a pinata is, that's when you hit something with you get like it's a it's like a big, I don't know what you call it. Like it's a thing that's stuffed with candy, and then you can hit it with a baseball bat.
That you're doing happy birthday.
Exactly. So do you
Happy
think
birthday.
that it's okay for the city to treat working people like pinatas filled with cash?
Of course not. But of course no. But the thing is, we are much more people than that. I mean, we cannot, permit they treat us like that.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, how are we being bullied? It's like if one person is bullying a million people, like we're being bullied by one person. We should really turn these tides on them. I like that. I do think that if we all got together, this would be over tomorrow. But it's hard because
our real problem is the police. I tell you why. Because they have guns and we're not. Do you know?
Well, that's why they keep police.
I say to the police, take out these fucking guns and let's talk. Because of course, if you have the gun, how we can do two? Unless we have two and then but do you know what I mean? Let's try before.
Well, of course, the police, that's why they're class traitors, because they're preventing us from fighting the people who are oppressing us. It's like we're paying, when we pay our taxes, like we're paying like our bullies, like we're paying the people who are we're paying people to beat us up, which honestly doesn't make any sense unless you're because we're being propagandized. We watch too much TV.
I don't have TV. If you look, I don't have TV here. It's simple. Don't buy this shit.
Well, the reason, I mean, most people have TVs. I have TV. I mean, I've been propagandized. I'm having to undo the work. It's hard. My last question for you. Who would you trust more to take care of you? The city of New York or a brown bear?
Nobody, only me can take care with me. All the fucking days come here, the fucking FBI in my house, and say to me, do you know the Proud Boys want your hat? And I say to them, look at that.
Wait, I'm sorry, did you have FBI come to your house? Did you just say that?
I say that. Yeah. And they, what they say? They come 2 times. That's the second time, The
what
first
were they
time
trying to do? Were they trying to hang out?
The best lawyer ever take me out, the problem? But then they come again because they say that the white supremacy Proud Boys want my neck. And then I say to them, okay, but I know how to take care with myself. I don't need the protection, And that my lawyers say, never, ever. They bullshit. Don't trust never police, never. Or FBI or no fun. Never trust this shit. And you have all the rights to put this shit out of your house, You can have the rights to put and say, I don't talk to you and don't want you here and get out of my house right now. That's
so wait, how do the FBI know that the Proud Boys are coming after you unless the Proud
Boys are the FBI?
I
don't have an idea, but I don't want to know, I don't have
I feel like they're the same person, the police and the Proud Boys.
No, you know what I mean? What did you say? Sorry.
I think the police and the Proud Boys are the same person.
Exactly. Ours. They are together. They articulate together, We know that.
They're best friends. Yeah, don't trust the FBI. They suck. But thank you so much for joining me, Adrienne. I'm going to bring you back on when we do our last moment at the end of the show. But I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next news. Thank you so much for joining us. Alrighty. So the last piece of news that I want to talk about is news that has made me happy. Yes, it's really hard to make me happy, but sometimes I get very happy in situations that don't involve chocolate. Chocolate always makes me happy. But what I'm happy about this week is that Colin Powell died, and people talked about how much of a horrible human he is. This makes me happy because I am so tired of people acting like dying turns a bad person into a saint. A bad person dying doesn't make them a good person. It just releases a dark soul back into the universe. Colin Powell's credits include pretending like the My Lai massacre in Vietnam didn't happen and lying to the United Nations that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. That latter lie led to millions of Iraqis being murdered. Colin Powell obviously did other terrible things because he was a professional war criminal, as most of you know. And for that, we should remember him as an example of why we shouldn't celebrate representation just for representation's sake. Black people should not seek to be represented in the war criminal profession. And I think by publicly wishing Colin Powell a terrible afterlife sends that message, which is why I'm going to say this. Colin, I hope that your afterlife is going very badly. Anyway, those are my feelings about this. I'm just happy that people are talking trash about a war criminal, as they should. And I'm going to bring up Wagatwe back again to help me talk about Colin Powell. Wagatwe, I have a question. Thank you for coming right back. I have a question. My first question for you regarding Colin Powell is, do you think it's okay to do a little dance because Colin Powell's dark soul has made it to the afterlife?
Oh, absolutely.
Or do you think, you don't think that's going a little bit too far?
No, a little jig. It was a little, hey, you can do a full out dance. Like, I don't know. Hey, find joy where you can.
Are you choreographing a dance to Colin Powell after this?
Maybe. You got me. Totally
oh my God.
Sorry.
It's like the soundtrack to Colin Powell's funeral is what?
No, and I'm totally sober. I was like, because I'm like thinking, because I'm from New Jersey, so I'm like thinking about how they do like glow sticks and stuff like that.
He is gone. Anyway, why do you think that we should have a little dance? Because Colin Powell is dead. Oh my God, this is so bad. Why am I laughing? Does this make me a bad person?
No, because you don't commit war crimes.
Okay, yeah. So why do you think we should do a little dance that Colin Powell is dead now?
I think it's okay to do a little dance because he was part of an oppressive apparatus. How much death and violence has he okayed, right, and justified? Because like honestly, like I kind of hate that when someone famous or influential dies and everyone's like, oh, let me find my selfie that I found with him and write this thing and be like, oh, blah 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 blah. Like, who cares? And I always hated how there used to be this pattern of we try to like tell people how to react, tell people how to feel. And it's like, people are happy, let them be happy. He has genuinely been a part of a really terrible, terrible country.
He has, which brings like, I want to bring up this point, which I think is very important. Who do you think is a hotter war criminal? Colin Powell or Barack Obama?
I hate this. I'm never playing like any games with you. Never have I ever. No truth or dare. Because he would just be brutal. I'm like taking notes. Okay. I would just say Obama's more my type physically.
Okay. So what you're saying is that it's okay to be a war criminal if you're hot.
No. See what I mean? If I have to pick one and they both suck, I might as well have one that's like, I don't even know. And now I can't even say I'm like mildly more attractive. I'm like, I got less repulsive because he's alive.
He is alive.
He's not a decomposing corpse.
What did you say? He's what? He's not a decomposing
corpse. So that's going for him.
He's not dead, so that makes him hot. I guess I hate to be serious, but I'm gonna ask you this question, which is unfortunately serious. I'm so happy that we're talking about Colin Powell because one of the things that I've always wanted to talk to you about is like the Black bourgeoisie and the type of hold that they have over like Black people. Which is something to me that is just like very. Do you remember when Beyonce wore her Black Panthers outfit and performed during the Super Bowl while Black Panthers were in prison? Do you remember that? She wore like a full-on like Black Panthers like gear. Her dancers were wearing Black Panthers gear.
Oh my gosh, yes, I blocked it out.
They performed during the Super Bowl in an institution that like brutalizes Black people and doesn't care. And the Black Panthers are in prison. And she never said a word. Anyway, what are your thoughts on the Black bourgeoisie in general? Because mine, obviously, I've let you know. I mean, yeah, her music is great, but
this is something that's interesting because I've been thinking about it. I feel like, especially now in late stage capitalism, and especially now with Biden in office, I definitely think the Black bourgeoisie is going to have an increasing important role in trying to like mollify, I guess, or smooth things over to try and be like this, because I feel like I've been seeing more like, right, they're kind of pushing a nuclear family more now, right?
Yes.
Like with the Tiffany's and blah, blah, blah. I'm seeing more Black celebrities in luxury. And they're like, normalize Black girls having luxury. I'm like, bitch, I just want to eat and have a roof over my head.
I
Like,
know, nobody's trying to normalize Gucci bags when they don't have food. Like, are you kidding me? What are you talking about?
it's just like really weird, like,
And it's like, let's normalize
priorities.
$10,000 purses when people can't afford food, like, or
Right.
healthcare. I'm sorry, like, where are your priorities?
So yeah, I definitely think it's like a particularly insidious thing, and I think it's also just a natural progression of liberal identity politics, not the Black feminist version, right? Where it's just sort of like, well, a Black person did it, or they're there. Oh, there's a Black person on top. Yay! And like that's not enough. Just because something might be Black led does not mean it's for Black people rooted in Black values or principles. So it's just, yeah, it's really interesting to watch to see that shift, and we need more class solidarity because it's getting bad. I think things are gonna get worse.
It's really terrifying too when you think about it now, because I see it and like I see how like they're really trying to push Black capitalism as a way to liberation, and like because people are, the thinkers are viewed as celebrities, like they're viewed as the same, which is so terrifying because it's like, I love Beyonce's music and my booty shakes when it comes on, but you should not be listening to Beyonce about Black liberation, like, sweetie. Like that's
exactly.
like, but people view them, if you're a celebrity, you're also smart because you have money, because that's how our system.
And it's only been pushed by the media, right? They love that stuff. They push the most ignorant takes, and now there's like this fire hose of information, right? I think there is that advantage where we have these like people with big platforms that are able to say this stuff, and I think we need more media literacy, honestly, especially online, for us to like parse these, filter these messages.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point, because I think a huge part of it is that like people don't realize that most media is owned by corporations, and corporations are not going to tell you the truth. Like, is the person who's your robber going to be honest about when and where they're stealing from you? Like,
exactly.
I'm going to be at the corner of your street at 5 p.m. to take all your cash. Like, they're not going to do that. And like, but people just like trust corporate media, and they don't understand, like, it is literally from our oppressors. It's like if your bully was, it's like if you learned your self-esteem and identity from your bully, they're like, you're ugly, you're terrible, and then you take that as a truth. Like, you can't.
And you and that's the point, right? That's why they care about taking over the media. That's why Jeff Bezos handpicked, right, the editor-in-chief of the Washington Post. And I think we need to think about that. Like, the capitalists own our mainstream that's supposed to be objective, but it always serves capital. And we don't think about that. Like, what does that mean in breaking it down? That's something that I like to talk about when it's coverage of sexual violence, because you can very much see like how that influences things, but people don't think about that stuff, and we're not taught to think about that stuff.
No, can you imagine all the nonsense that they taught us that we never use? Like, I've never had to use the Pythagorean theorem. I've never had to take never, you know what I mean? I just like
sine,
never had to use
cosine, tangent, none of that.
No, I never, trig identities never served me. But you know what would serve me? Like, knowing that the state is out here to get me. Like, but they're not, because they're the state.
Right?
No.
Decolonize schools.
Decolonize schools. Okay, one last question before we go into our high moment and end the show. Okay. You're gonna stop answering my questions after this.
No.
You're never coming back. I'm so sorry I did this to you. I'm so sorry. I wrote these, and I really apologize. Do you think Colin Powell's soul and Saddam's soul are fighting in the afterlife?
I actually don't think they're gonna be fighting. I think they're gonna be chatting.
Chatting about what? How evil they both are? Or like...
like comparing notes about like, oh my God, sorry, man, about that whole thing. Like, how Bush can be. Like, oh yeah, I got that memo. That was so weird when we intercepted it. Like, oh yeah, like...
It's just
business. People are always on the same side at the end of the day, right? Like, Democrats and Republicans, like, I think about this a lot. Like, I forgot the one moment where it just like clicked for me years ago. And I was like, oh my God, they're all just friends with each other. Like,
they are. They literally have.
They hang out. They have the little spa things. They do the things, and I'm just like, This is all just like a performance.
And then they make fun of us. Do you think they make fun of us? I swear, I think they make fun of us. I think while they're having their brunch, they're like, look at those idiots. They keep falling for this. Barack, go out there and tell them like they should vote again. Like, I feel like that's what they're doing.
At least like Cinema, I feel like, or I don't even know how to pronounce her name, right? But I definitely feel like at least some of them definitely like make fun of us. Like, ha, they're falling for it. We're cutting things again. Like, it's so banana. So that's why I think all powerful people are just like on the same side, more or less. Even if the little, like, once they're in hell, I bet they're like, you know what? There's nothing. All right, let's compare notes. Let's see what's up.
I love that. I love that. I love that you think that Colin Powell and Saddam are in hell comparing notes or whatever, the afterlife, wherever they are, because they probably are. And he's probably like, don't take it personally. It was just business. You know how
exactly. He's like,
imperialism ain't easy. It's just sometimes you're the worm, sometimes you're the bird. I'm sorry. Okay. Well, thank you so much for helping me have feelings for that piece of news. I do want to bring Adrian back because this is the final moment of the news where I want to have what we call a high moment. And a high moment is just something that a feeling or a thought that you've had when you've been high that you feel like you just really want to share with our audience today. And so my high moment that I have had for quite some time now is that I don't even know who I am or what anything is because I have been propagandized so much. I don't even know what the truth is anymore. So every day I wake up in the morning, I'm like, do I like this or is it because of television? Like I was watching The Real Housewives for a hot minute and I started contouring my makeup. I was like, oh my God, they didn't even tell me to do it. I just started doing it. And like, so I'm really scared now because I'm like, how much is what I watch who I am? And like my husband watched Gilmore Girls and he was like, did Gilmore Girls raise you? Because you sound like them. And I was like, oh my God.
Ouch.
Yeah. So that was my high moment is that I'm trying to figure out my identity. Please help me. TV and everything has ruined me. I'm going to go over to you, Black. What is your high moment that you want to share with the audience?
Wow. My high moment is when I was really high. I mean, I love smoke marijuana, and I really love. And then it's dance, and sing with many indigenous together doing rituals, or performance. I don't know. I like, because I love what you say, about performance. We perform all the time. I agree. And also I agree this shit is really have fun with us. It means at least we need to, resist with really enjoyment and, together, integrate and articulate we all together. That's my high moments. When you articulate
I love that.
we all together. Yeah.
I love that as a good high moment. The high moment is to just like come together and have fun because we're in hell. Dance while we're in it. Okay. Wagatwe, what is your high moment?
Okay, so I feel like the last one I gave was really serious. So I'm going to give one that's a little bit lighter.
Oh, by the way, I want to say what Gatwe's high moments are in tutorial because it was really, really good. Wait, can you say it? And then, okay, can you say your last week's high moment and say this week's high moment? Okay.
That like heterosexuality is not natural. It just can't be because of the way that like we are coerced and groomed into it constantly. Like if it was natural, like they wouldn't have to peer pressure us all the goddamn time.
I agree. Well, to this week's high moment.
Yes, this week. So I've been playing this video game called Katamari Damacy. And it is, I think it's the best. If you have ADHD, it is like the most satisfying game. It's a Japanese game. You have this little ball, and then you just roll it and pick things up, and it gets bigger and bigger. And then there's just like this Japanese music playing in the background, like da, 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 da. It's like, it's so weird. I love it so much. It's the best ADHD game ever because there's also this little satisfying plop you get when you're like playing it, when you pick things up, and then you can get really big and pick up islands and sea monsters. So anyway, that's what I've been doing. I think if you're looking for something and you're high, you want to feel like you get something done and it satisfies your little ADHD, all the little things going in your head, the Katamari series. Big fan.
You've heard it here. The Katamari series, the game for anybody with, is it ADD or ADHD, did you say?
Either. I think people are using them interchangeably, depending.
Yeah. Okay, cool, gotcha. Ooh, somebody says same. Sanju said same. Oh wow, look
It's
at that.
Katamari Damacy so good.
Well, now that we're already getting comments from the audience, we have like a couple more minutes. If Wagatwe and Black want to hang out. If anybody has any questions, I said you could ask questions in the email. So shoot us any questions that you have. It could be about the news, it could be about anything that you've heard today, or you could just be like saying hello, you're happy you're here and you spend time with us.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Okay, I'm gonna count to 30 seconds, and if there are no questions, we are going to say goodbye.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go play Katamari Damacy.
and Lauren at the beginning of the show said that whole Rikers thing is really messed up. That was Lauren's comment. Yeah. Oh, and if you would like to support, it's not just comedians. If you'd like to support anybody that you've seen here today, you can Venmo me. Usually I split whatever we make from the audience. However, it's great to support labor because, YouTube makes money from us through ads. The only way we can make money is if you support and take care of us. Already. I feel like that was 30 seconds, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely
Totally.
30 seconds. Oh, Lauren said it was amazing. So
yay, thank
we had so
you.
fun,
It
Lauren.
was amazing. Thank you.
It was great being here again.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for joining, and I will see y'all later.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.